They are North Dakota's Peacekeepers, joining thousands of NATO troops in Kosovo, working with school children who are trying to rebuild their lives. 150 men and women from our area continuing their work in the war-torn country, where neighbors are still killing neighbors in the name of religion. See the tragic drama and hear from families who as refugees called Fargo home. The Peacekeepers, starting Sunday on WDAY. Today, North Dakota troops join U.S. Army soldiers during a NATO patrol in the tension-filled village of Jelani, near the Serb border. It is a Kosovo town that is split. Pockets of ethnic Albanians living near Serbs, all under NATO control.
I have a question for you.
These were Albanian-occupied homes, and what the Serbs would do, they'd go by home to home to push them out, to try to get them out of Kosovo. They'd catch their house on fire, kill most of the family members, if not all of them.
The patrols are needed because weapons right now are being stockpiled illegally. And in Jelani today, that turns deadly. Just blocks from our patrol, shots ring out. A well-known Serbian doctor, an OB/GYN who treated Albanian and Serb women equally, is gunned down as he walked to work. His sister watches in horror as attempts are made to save his life. A medical evac team from Camp Bondsteel flies in to help the man, Joseph Vasic, who has been shot 5 times in the stomach. Witnesses say the 38-year-old doctor believed in a multi-ethnic Kosovo, where Serbs and Albanians could live and work together once again. Today, Joseph Vasic died for that belief. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News.
Extend to the left. March.
The sun is just coming up in Kosovo.
Okay, we're gonna do some stretching first. Stretch, 1,000, 1,000, 1, 2,
This is where 150 men and women from North Dakota call home. Camp Bondsteel, Kosovo. Born last summer, this camp is now immense. Hundreds of buildings on 755 acres, surrounded by muddy roads, Humvees, and 5,000 peacekeeping troops. Quaint villages and a huge snow-capped mountain greet the North Dakota troops every day as they prepare for the long hours. Now that the North Dakota Guard's equipment has arrived, the units are busy building roads, combat and checkpoint sites. Other units in the Guard are putting up some of the hundreds of buildings that make up this city of Camp Bondsteel. And still others can be found miles from the camp, trying to save this tunnel from destruction, a road that's a main artery for the NATO forces.
We don't want anybody to coming through and just placing charges and blowing the whole thing. And plus our platoon is building an alternate route around this tunnel too.
The North Dakota Guard is filling in the large holes with cement. The unit even found explosives in one chamber.
2 small pieces of TNT we found.
The North Dakota troops are expected to be here until early fall. Until then, Camp Bondsteel will be home.
We've got good work ethic, and the quality of work that we put out is excellent. So, I mean, right now I just have nothing but good things to say about it.
And you hear that from
everybody.
It's great. That's what I like about this company is we're always building something, leaving it. It's good for the people.
It is a beautiful yet war-torn landscape, and at times even the peacekeepers question how long this fragile peace will last. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. Looking at the children of Kosovo, it's hard to imagine this is a country so divided that neighbors are still killing neighbors. Today, those children follow North Dakota troops and other NATO peacekeepers through the streets of Jelani, Kosovo, a village divided. Serbs and Albanians still trying to live together. There are KFOR troops throughout the city, trying to keep the Serbs and Albanians from killing each other.
Pucamo u njega, puka slučajnost, nije pogođen, pobegao je.
Today we meet a Serb family, still here in Jelani after the war. They used to have Albanian friends. Zoran Djorgovic and his mother Ratka used to shop at Albanian stores, but no more. Now there are attempts on their lives.
In this house, one man was killed, and at the other house, there was attention of killing, but they missed the lady. They wanted to kill an old lady, and at his house were thrown 2 grenades, one on the roof and one inside the house.
I kod nas, ima I kod njima po prodavnici, ali sad ne. Sad nema to.
She says, yeah, I remember that, when we worked together, we bought things at their shops, they bought things at our shops,
No more.
No more.
Down the road, an Albanian family occupies what was a Serbian home in Jelani. Sadar Arifri and his 8 children fled here from Serbia. But it has not been peaceful here lately. NATO troops went to the house next door and found AK-47s and grenades. They arrested a Serb.
I'm sad, he says, very. He says, this is not good, no matter you are Serbian or Albanian. This is not good for both sides, he said.
Go ahead, search him, and we'll have him come back and open the box.
We travel with North Dakota troops near the Serb border, where NATO peacekeepers are searching vehicles. Too many people are smuggling weapons this spring. There is fear fighting will resume. Serbians and Albanians are being arrested. Mirrors are used to look for bombs.
We are there with our presence to show that we won't tolerate those kind of activities.
We then get permission to travel to the newest NATO checkpoint, built by North Dakota troops. We are the first Western journalists allowed to see Checkpoint 65, this latest attempt to seal the border as tempers flare here in the Kosovo Valley.
Well, there's different parts of the towns have populations of different backgrounds, and the reason we're here is because in this particular case, it's the Albanians and the Serbs that don't get along. The smaller communities are still fragmented, and you still have small pockets of one nationality in those towns, and those smaller pockets tend to be oppressed, and so we're trying to protect those people.
This village behind me, which sits on the Serb-Kosovo border, is a clear example of how the war has divided neighbors. 2 brothers were recently murdered by Serbs here, and everyone fled the village. It's empty. As we travel back to the safety of our camp, we enter tiny villages where the children seem to be distant from the crisis of unrest.
She is a sweetheart.
Even these babies, left orphaned from the war, remind us of how faith and peace have collided. Children left here because their mothers were either raped or killed. Fortunately for one of the babies, a U.S. soldier has adopted her. Vanessa is on her way to America. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News.
How are you today?
North Dakota troops get a hero's welcome every time they pull up in their convoy at this elementary school outside Camp Bondsteel.
Want to help me carry stuff in?
It would be easy for the troops to get discouraged when coming to the school. The kids have so very little. The war nearly destroyed the building. The students have very few books, notebooks, pencils, or even a warm classroom. Most need clothes, but all have a warm heart and are eager to have North Dakota troops part of their lives.
If we can do anything to help these kids, I mean, they're going to be the future of this place. And if we can help bring some kind of peace together with them, hopefully that, like 25 years from now, they'll, maybe not fight because we're showing them that we can bring peace.
The Army is helping rebuild the school. The North Dakota Guard manages the contracts to make sure the work is done. And for the men and women from the Red River Valley here in Kosovo, this is what it's all about. In fact, these faces reflect what Kosovo will be.
This is the generation we're hoping will bring this country back together.
When I sit here and I look at some of the problems that Kosovo's got now, and we go into the schools and we talk to them and stuff. I think the U.S. and the NATO is a real good influence on them, because I mean these are going to be the people that are going to be running this country.
What's your name? Amira? Close, right? Close. Name's Carrie.
Polite children sit as North Dakota troops spend time here at the school, handing out candy and school supplies. A relief organization pays the teachers $100 a month.
There you go. Can you read for me? Can you read?
For every child there is a story. Those who survived the atrocities in their villages, burned out homes, families murdered, life in refugee camps. Going to school again gives the children some hope.
Like M&M's, bud.
For many of the North Dakota Guard troops, this is a well-deserved break from the work in and around Camp Bondsteel. They come here as peacekeepers, and they leave the school as friends.
It gives them a whole new perspective as to why we're here. They sit inside the wire and they don't understand what our mission is. And by bringing them out here, they can see everything that they do may not directly help these kids, but indirectly we're making a better life for these kids.
With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. The eyes of 14-year-old Mevlida Zika tell us so much. Today she stands with her mother and brother, the only ones left in her family after Serbs gunned down everyone else. Her father, her 2 brothers, and 4 cousins, all murdered as these 3 stood by helplessly.
Yeah. Yeah. They are very sad now, you know. They feel terrible, you know. They remember, you know, all the thing, you know, what happened, you know. Because, you know, they can't find, you know, the bodies.
That's right, the bodies have never been found. The Serbs surrounded the village for 10 days, then burned the family's home. They lost everything, every picture. But these 3 escaped and spent 2 months in a Macedonia refugee camp.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Fatim Zika's eyes fill with tears when she tells us the pain of never having the chance to bury her family, since the Serbs took the bodies of her husband and 2 sons. Mevlida attends the elementary school that has been adopted by the North Dakota Guard. She tells us she hopes her generation of peace. But after witnessing the horrors of war in the name of religion, this family wrestles with the idea of peace. They lost everything, and after centuries of hatred, forgiveness right now seems unlikely, and most here anticipate revenge. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. Here in Pristina, Kosovo, there are still vivid reminders of the NATO bombings. Today, the UN, relief groups, and KFOR troops are everywhere in the city. And tucked away in the middle of the city, a connection to Fargo. Gafar Alizi and his family have returned to Kosovo after spending time as refugees in Fargo.
Okay. No, it was with the wife and the kids.
Today, North Dakota Guard troops distribute gifts we brought with us to Kosovo from the Albanian family members who are still living back in Fargo.
That's how
Uncle.
Gifts and greetings from the church family in West Fargo that became so important to the refugees. This family became refugees after Serbs came through the neighborhood, threatening to kill them all.
Yeah, they came here in the door and they said you have 5 minutes to get out of here.
Did he fear for his family's life?
Më thonë, u frikoshe për jetën e familjes tuaj? Yes, very, very real.
Inside, North Dakota troops were treated to thick black coffee and pictures from time spent in North Dakota, summer picnics.
We are happy that we are back with family, but sometimes we care for the rest of them. They are still in North Dakota. They long for them.
The family is glad to be back in Kosovo, despite the hardships here right now. They do miss their son and other family members back in Fargo, and they hope to be together again. On the outskirts of Pristina, another family from Kosovo, back here after living as refugees in Fargo.
So, and then they start beating them with the rifle, hitting on the chest. And she fell down when she saw that because she couldn't stand it.
She passed out?
Yeah.
The Amati family of 7 spent 3 months in the Red River Valley. They too had been in a Macedonia refugee camp, forced there because Serbs beat them and held guns to their heads before forcing them out and burning all their possessions.
And the children, the kids, they all tried to start crying, and they had to flee then.
The children saw all of this?
Yeah, they saw it.
Today, those memories still haunt them. A stark contrast to the peaceful summer spent in Fargo, with people they now regard as family.
Yeah, we like the place and we like the people mostly. They were really hospitable.
Starting over is taking time. The Amati still have so little, but they are home. And unlike so many in Kosovo, they at least have their family.
North Dakota.
With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News.
Hasbagen, Schumacher's, not here, Hasbagen. Kevin Osman.
It is evening, that time of day North Dakota troops long for. Some connection to home.
You want to give this to Schumacher? DeFreeze.
Somebody else loves me.
Mail call. Tig. Tig. Man. Tag.
The North Dakota troops
Jelani
play cribbage
son.
as the long day ends, and Cy Hansana of Gwinner, North Dakota, hands out this little piece of home.
Mail call is good to me tonight.
I tell you what, some of these guys they're working all day, and it comes at night. That's the biggest thing they expect them for is the mail. Once you see the mail, it seems like the day just pretty much made the day then.
Today the troops also get phone cards. In the barracks, reminders of home, children's artwork, pictures of family, fishing memories in Minnesota. It's the longest most of the men and women have spent away from loved ones.
It's much better to be busy and have a lot of work to do, I guess, than not and have a lot of time to sit and think about, being away from home.
Try to keep my mind occupied and not think about it anymore, and I can't have to.
Unlike past wars and conflicts, the troops here have access to email during the evening. They have to sign up for time slots, and there is also a telephone available, which takes some time to connect to home. Letters and pictures from school children in North Dakota are posted around the barracks.
We've had a lot of people that have, been homesick, are homesick. The email, definitely, I think it's great, but it makes people more homesick. It makes me homesick. When I get on the email, it's like I'm talking to my wife every day.
Well, I wouldn't give up the email opportunities that I've had, It's just that little connection to home.
I think we all trying to not deal with home as much. We try to talk with each other and make this our job. We talk about the job, on a birthday or anniversary or stuff like that. We all kind of, happy anniversary. Maybe go up and get a dessert and say happy anniversary and make it fun as we can.
The days are spent going full speed on projects within Camp Bondsteel and outside the gates, where North Dakota troops often see the result of war.
Yeah, it makes you makes you appreciate what you have back home. I know it did for me.
It really does surprise a person just how much violence has happened here, and hopefully we can put a stop to it.
Some of these North Dakota troops have spent time in other countries while in the Guard, but this has been life-changing. Clearly, the faces of the children and the tragedy they have lived through will stick with these troops as they return home to North Dakota this fall. They will bring back stories of those who lost family, those who have nothing, and the troops can leave Kosovo knowing they came here to help find peace. They found it in the eyes of the children. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. There is not another company like it throughout the 5,000 troops of Camp Bondsteel. In North Dakota's 142nd, nearly a dozen cases of father-son, two sisters, father-daughter, husband-wife, brother-brother.
You guys want some?
Carrie Arney is part of the Wahpeton-based 142nd here in Kosovo. And so is her brother Daryl. It's like being at home for both of them.
It's pretty awesome, I guess. It's better than most people have it. Someone to talk to and get along with them so well. And
It's good. I always, if there's somebody I can bug, and I can always bug him, always turn to him.
Like some of the other troops with family here in Kosovo, parents back home are glad to see siblings have someone here for them. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. It will be quite the story to tell the grandchildren one day. The 6 months that newlyweds Christopher and Lisa Elijah of Fargo spent in Kosovo together, both members of the 142nd in the North Dakota Guard.
I like it that he's here every day and we can see each other, talk about our days together. We can go to chow together and take in one of the free movies here and go to the PX, go shopping. It's not like home, but it's like we're dating again.
My family's very happy that I got to go and be right with her working over here.
There are memories of home. Cats are with parents back in Fargo. The two live in separate barracks, but are together for meals and free time. Holidays are spent together here in Kosovo.
She's already had her birthday. My birthday's next month, so yeah, we'll be here for our birthdays. And Together, which is always nice.
The two even work in the same unit at Bondsteel. And while there are married couples in the military, the Elijahs are the only ones in Camp Bondsteel. One good thing, they are saving money. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. Tonight we find Mark Warner directing his guard unit in darkness as they repair a tunnel in the Kosovo countryside. A few yards away, his brother Greg is ensuring that speeding cars slow down on these mountain curves as the guard works in dark, dangerous conditions.
It's nice, we can always talk, and it's nice support for both of us.
And I'm sure your family back home, or your parents or grandparents, whatever,
Yeah.
do they feel a little more comfortable knowing you're both?
Yeah, I don't know if about both of us being here, but I think we can both watch each other's backs.
It's good that there's somebody there you can talk to that you can relate back to home with. He's in a different squad than me, so we're working on a different project, but we're fortunate to work together on this project.
Both young men telephone home at the same time and talk together with family and friends. There are two other cases of brothers from North Dakota and Kosovo, and a sister-sister team. No other U.S. unit in Camp Bondsteel has such a family tree. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. "19-year-old Brandon Ladisaw can't get away with too much in Kosovo. That's because his father is often by his side. Both are military mechanics. Today, Brandon got a little advice on repairing a 5-ton with blown seals.
Well, it's hard on my mom, but otherwise, it doesn't really. It's just like at drill. He sits in his office, I go do the work.
In the last couple of days, he's actually been working really hard, and it's kind of making me kind of proud. So. Actually, it's kind of nice to have family here, and I wish everybody could have a part of their family here, but fortunately it just don't work out that way.
This is a unique time for 40-year-old Mike Ladisaw. He has 20 years in the Guard and had planned to retire. Instead, he came to Kosovo, now away from his wife and children.
I've got a lot of mixed emotions about that. It's the longest time that me and my wife has ever been apart.
Here at Camp Bondsteel, so many miss home. It's the longest this Guard unit has been away from family. And because of the changing role in the mission of the Guard, it is likely this won't be the last. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. Richard Bernstein spent his 46th birthday in Kosovo, chipping away frozen mud in preparation for a new antenna tower. Nearby, daughter Laura, also in Company B out of Wapiti, one of the only NATO peacekeepers who gets to spend time in Kosovo with her father.
It's all right. If you need someone to talk to, you just go to him. Or if you have a problem, go to him. So it's just like at home.
I go talk to her and she comes talk to me. So I don't miss the other kid, but I don't miss wife that much. And the boy, because she's here with me. And we both talk back and forth to home. We take turns every other day. So we know what's going on all the time.
Still, it's tough for Richard, who watches holidays and special days roll by without his wife.
Well, I've never been away from my birthday or anniversary, never. Always been with her, but first year away from her in 26 years, so I'll get used to it.
The Bernsteins are in the same squad, so when either wants to feel or hear a little of home, they simply search out each other. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News. Coming to Kosovo wasn't so bad for Tim Porter. He's just out of basic training, one of the younger pups in the North Dakota Guard. A few yards from here, Tim's older brother Pat is taking care of communications for Company B here in Kosovo. The Porter brothers, far from home, but not far from family.
In a way, it's better that I have family here. I'm not really homesick much, but I still miss the regular family, but it's kind of easier.
Well, it's actually kind of nice. I was deployed to Desert Storm, and at that point I didn't know anybody, but here I have my brother and I can just go talk to him, and it's like having a piece of home here.
It's just great to see him, actually.
All the North Dakota troops say homesickness can hit often, and for the many who have a family member in the unit, it helps those gloomy days go by quicker. 6 months in Kosovo may seem like a year to many, but for the Porter brothers, at least some of home is right here with them. With photographer Dan Lee in Kosovo, Kevin Wallevand, WDAY News.